Why you should not block your ex. Now, this goes against conventional wisdom when we talk about breakups, but in my 3 years of helping men move on and get over their ex and get back to a life that they are stoked on, it's important that we don't just follow advice blindly. And there is a lot of nuance in this question. And so it is important that when we are looking at your specific situation, we understand the different aspects that you are going through so that we don't make decisions from a place of fight or flight or from a place of freeze. And oftentimes when you are going through a breakup, especially at the start, you are in one of these states. You are in fight or flight. And what this looks like is jumping back into work too quickly. This means jumping into dating too quickly. It might mean starting to train for a marathon. You're on the attack, right? You're trying to get over this ex. You're maybe even trying to make them regret having ended the relationship with you. Or you might be in freeze. And what this looks like is disassociating, withdrawing into yourself. You find yourself, not being as social anymore. Maybe you find yourself at night scrolling through Instagram, maybe even wondering what they're doing and becoming this detective trying to understand what they're thinking, what they're up to, do they miss you, all of these things, but you have withdrawn into yourself. And so it is very, very important when we talk about blocking, right? What is the ultimate intention of this? And so ultimately, the first step in moving on from your breakup is coming to a place of regulated nervous system. Right? And on top of that, understanding how you even get to a place of regulation. And so this can be very, very nuanced depending on you, depending on your situation, depending on many, many different things. So when we talk about blocking your ex, here are 5 reasons why it might not be a good idea for you. And the first one is that it cuts you off from real data about your own personal triggers. Right? If you haven't blocked them, you can still see their name pop up on your social media. You can still notice the urge within yourself to go and check their profile. And these are all opportunities for you to understand more deeply how your nervous system is operating and what is causing it to get activated in the first place. And so if you block them, you remove a very powerful opportunity for you to understand your nervous system and start to build the muscles needed to regulate it back to calm and grounded. Now, if this sounds something super, super interesting to you and something that you want to dive in deeper to, I invite you to check the link in my description because this is some of the work that I love doing. I love being in the nuance. I love understanding and helping men move on from their ex in the most efficient way possible. So if this is something that sounds exciting, check the link and figure out how we can work together deeper. Now, the second reason why blocking your ex might not be a good idea is that it can create a false sense of closure. Right? You might tell yourself, boom, blocked, okay, problem is solved, I have moved on, don't have to think about them anymore. But closure isn't just a button that you press. Right? This is an internal process that can take weeks, it can take months, and blocking them can very easily trick you into thinking that you've moved on when there is still a bunch of residual crunchiness that needs to be worked through. The third reason why you should not block your ex is that it can be just another clever form of avoidance, especially with high performers, especially for people that are overthinkers, especially people that are considered smart. Right? This is a very, very clever way that you can trick yourself into thinking that you are moving on when really you are just avoiding. Right? If you are a high performer, if you're an A-type personality, right, blocking can feel like control. And as a high performer, we love control. Right? I am no different. I love the feeling of thinking I'm in the driver's seat because that gives me a sense of safety. And so blocking, when you block someone, it feels decisive, right? But it's really just another way, can be another way, to dodge and avoid what the breakup is stirring up within you. And when we can be intentional about being with these feelings, when we understand how to be with this stuff that's getting stirred up, this is actually how we start to move through the pain and the abandonment and the unworthiness and all of the questions that are circulating in our mind. We have to be with them. And so blocking can be a clever way to just avoid these things and feel like you're moving on when you're actually just brushing it under the rug for just a little bit longer. The fourth reason is that it can very easily backfire into shame or embarrassment. So imagine that you just you're feeling all these things and you just block them, right? What can happen is that weeks later, you realize that you did this in a moment of panic, in a moment of activation, from a state of fight or flight, from a state of disassociation. And that snap decision can oftentimes leave us feeling exposed or childish, and instead of feeling relief, we start to feel regret. Like, oh my God, I can't believe I just made such a childish decision. And when we're in this tender state of moving through a breakup, especially at the start, right, we want to minimize any sort of activation whatsoever externally, right? So if blocking can weeks later bring up this sense of shame, that's something that we want to try to avoid as much as we can, so that we can focus on the triggers and the emotions and the feelings that the breakup is stirring within us. And finally, the fifth reason is that just because you block them, it's not going to end your overthinking. And this is one of the things I hear with the clients that I work with, right? They want to stop thinking about their ex. But when you block them, that doesn't just magically stop the active mind. Your brain just starts to obsess about new questions, right? Did they notice? What are they doing now? And the real healing isn't about deleting them from their feed. It's about learning how to be with the discomfort that they are stirring up without spiraling. So oftentimes I hear, oh, I just want to stop thinking about my ex. But this is not a thinking problem. And if you are trying to outthink it, you are constantly going to find yourself spiraling, because it's not an issue with your mind. And ultimately what we want is, it's not that we want to stop thinking about them, it's that we want to have a different reaction within our body when we do think about them. We want to be at peace, we want to feel gratitude, we want to feel kindness, we want to feel calm. So the work becomes, how do we start switching that? And that is not a mind problem, that's a body problem. So it becomes, how do we start understanding what is happening in our body? So while blocking can be a very, very effective strategy, and there is a reason why it is so widely recommended, there is nuance to it. And there are very, very powerful things that we can use within the container of your partnership and with your ex, right? That if we just quickly block them from a state of activation, we miss out on a lot of the magic, a lot of the medicine that having this person still in your feed can bring. That's not to say you shouldn't block them. All I'm saying is that there is some nuance to it. And if we can work on this nervous system awareness, this ability to regulate and calm back down, and start to understand why we are getting activated in the first place, and build the tools and the resources for us to, then we can start to look at this situation through a different lens. Instead of being so activated, I just have to block them, we can start to use it as a powerful tool for our own healing, so that we can move through the breakup faster and more effective. And so if what I have shared here resonates with you, again, I would love to invite you to work deeper with me. This is the work that I love to do, and I'm very good at it. And I think that if you are finding yourself in a similar situation where your mind is racing, you can't get them out of your head, you feel this sense of panic, this sense of anxiety, or you feel like you don't feel anything. Right? You're reserved, you've become and drawn into yourself. These are all moments to realize that there is something happening in your nervous system. And if we can understand how to work with that for you personally, it makes your healing journey so much more faster and so much more effective. So if this resonates with you, check the link in the description below so that you can learn more on how we can work deeper on this together. I know this is a tender time, and you might be feeling all sorts of things or nothing at all, and you might just be wanting to get through this as fast as possible. And I assure you that it is possible. It is possible to heal in a healthy way, in an efficient way, instead of just waiting for time to heal all your wounds, which is, in my opinion, one of the worst strategies. Right? We want to be intentional about this healing. So if this resonates with you, find the link below and figure out how we can work deeper together on this. Wishing you all the best. Peace.